Any football fan will tell you it's the hope that kills you. Well, in small business, sometimes it's the uncertainty, it's the death, not even by 1,000 paper cuts, but by the sword of Damocles that seems to be hanging over all of our heads. So how do we own the uncertainty? How do we make sure we manage our energy and make good decisions in business, even when we're unsure about the future? Welcome to Don't Waste a Good Recession, episode 2. Last week, I talked about the 3 different ways that small businesses respond to an economic downturn. If you want to thrive, not just survive, a key part is how you respond, not just reacting, not just going blindly. And this week, I'm going to share a key framework that you can use to stay in control at cause for the outcomes in your life and your business. I'm talking, of course, about the Circles of Control framework by Stephen Covey. The 3 circles of control. At the core of this is the circle of control. In this circle are all of the things that you are fully in control of. Just outside of that is the circle of influence. These are the things you don't fully control, but which you can influence. And at the outside is the circle of concern. This is elements of the world that you cannot influence, and you can choose whether they concern you or not. Simple little analogy I like to use is football related. I can control going to football training and making it on time each week. I can influence how well my team plays, whether my team wins or not. That's not fully within my control. I have influence over how my team plays. When it comes to the circle of concern, well, the mighty Manchester United sit out there. I allow them into my circle of concern. When they have a great season, I feel excellent. When they don't, I don't. I'm choosing to let them concern me, even though I have absolutely no influence over their results whatsoever. In life, we sometimes blur, and particularly when it comes to media, advertising, social media, there are so many elements that live in that circle of concern that want to make you feel invested, make you feel like you have influence over them, such that you set your emotional watch by their ups and downs. Focus instead on what are the things that you truly do control in life and in business. You can control your response to the thoughts that you're having. You can control your feelings when they come up. Do you acknowledge them and let them go, or do you choose to hold on to them? You can control who you're spending time with, whose advice you're taking, who you're listening to. When it comes to the circle of influence, depending on the size of your business, you can obviously influence the team. You can influence the success of your clients. You can influence financials within your business. And things that sit in that circle of concern, the news, media, what the president's doing, what the war's doing, the price of oil in Singapore, the price of eggs in China, these are things that are outside your circle of influence. How emotionally impacted by those you are is entirely up to you. And you may feel that's easier said than done when you're looking at the latest fuel bill, or when you're looking at cost projections for the next quarter, or maybe some clients, suppliers that are already beginning to struggle and have difficulty that will have a domino, a flow-on effect to your business. And it's not that you're completely ignorant of those concerns. It's how much you let them influence you, and how much you bring back to what can you influence and what can you fully control. There's a video that I'm going to link to from the last season of Don't Waste a Good Recession, where I went into more detail around the indicators that you want to be measuring in your business. So we're going to do an updated one for 2026 that's got an update and an analysis on some of those economic factors as well that were always true up until 2021, 2022, when a whole lot of economic things changed. The critical message from that will be the same. What do you control? What can you influence? How well are you measuring the numbers in your business that give you some future indication of the health of your business? Because it's very easy to get sucked into all of these generalizations about what will happen to house prices, oil prices, fertilizer, food, transport, your business specifically. But it's all outside noise in that circle of concern until you apply it to yourself and ask, what will actually happen? What am I looking at? And how you respond to that is going to vary. It's going to differ depending on your industry, your vision, where you are in the business life cycle, where you are in your life. If there's one thing that I would encourage you to be doing as you look at that circle of control, look at those indicators, it's being very mindful of cash. In an economic downturn, cash is something that dries up very quickly. Many of your expenses will not be going away, particularly fixed overhead staffing costs can go away, but not without some hard conversations. And those generally are decisions that you want to be making, with preparation, but you don't want to be rushing into them. So if your costs are going to stay the same, the cash can dry up when it starts getting slower to come in. Fewer clients, less work, or just slower payers. So what are the things that you can be doing to manage the cash and the cash flow in your business? And it is as simple as making sure that you are meeting payment terms, not going out there in advance paying people early if you don't have to be. It's making sure that you are holding your clients to payment terms. Maybe sharpening those payment terms now if you need to. If you have the opportunity to be taking prepayments, deposits, money in trust, some of these steps, that is a time to be thinking about those while things are still going fairly well in the economy. There's uncertainty, but on the ground, businesses are still humming along. Now is a useful time to tighten up some of those financial hygiene practices. And absolutely, if you need to be training your team on completing work faster, on getting invoices out and paid sooner, and on the impact and influence that they have over the cash flow of the business, now is a great time to be doing it. While they're mindful of things that are going on, bring it back to what do they influence, what do they control around the finances of your business. The old saying is, the best time to buy is when there's blood on the streets. The point of maximum financial opportunity, the theme of episode 1, is at the very bottom of that economic downturn. The challenge for those businesses and business owners who are just surviving is that when those opportunities knock, you're not ready to take them. And cash is the number one opportunity you have. The business owners who are cashed up over the next 6 to 18 months, we're still very early to see what speed this is all playing out at. The business owners that are cashed up are the ones who are going to make the most of these opportunities. And if you think back only a few years to the outcome of the coronavirus recession and what has happened to the economy since, we very much have experienced, as I talked about and predicted in 2021, a K-shaped recovery, where many people have continued to grow and thrive while a lot of people are struggling. And that's why we see bad economic news while the business class flights to Europe are full. It's because we've got two different categories of economic participants at the moment coming out of that. And what made the difference? It was the people during the last recession who held the assets, who benefited from asset growth coming out of that, who benefited from the stimulus and the inflation that went on because that boosted asset values, and inflation eats away at debt. Hard to get debt in a recession. It's being prepared before. Now is the before phase. We're not even yet at the response phase, the start of a recession. Now is the time to think, where do I want to be? When opportunity knocks, how do I want to make sure I'm placed to grab it, to grasp it, to seize that point of maximum opportunity? And it comes back to cash, first and foremost. It comes back to understanding the indicators in your business. It comes back to your circle of control. Controlling what you can, influencing what you can, and then choosing whether or not to be concerned by all of that external noise that's going on, when really that's time and energy you could spend on improving your world.